Social media showed the world their smiles. But behind the filters, one of them was quietly breaking. In a world where success is measured in likes, followers, and carefully curated moments, it's easy to forget who you are without the spotlight. This is not just a story about chasing dreams. It's a story about identity, pressure, friendship, and the quiet battles many people fight behind perfect photos. Because sometimes, the hardest person to be, is simply yourself. In a city where dreams are sold like promises, two best friends arrived with nothing but hope. They believed that if you worked hard enough, if you wanted it badly enough, America would reward you. But this is not a story about reward. This is a story about the quiet, relentless pressure that lives between who you are, and who the world tells you to be. About two women who loved each other deeply, and how one decision changed everything. Stay with us. Because this story is more real than most people want to admit. The first time Madison and Valentina saw the skyline of Los Angeles, they held hands like children stepping into a dream, but what neither of them knew was that the dream they were chasing would test them in ways they were not prepared for. They had grown up in the same neighborhood, the same dusty streets, the same small school, the same big sky full of ambitions that felt too large for where they lived. They had watched American movies since they were 12 years old. Movies where ordinary people became extraordinary. Where talent got discovered. Where hard work paid off in sunlight and applause. They had promised each other one night, sitting on a rooftop under a wide African sky. One day, we go together. We make it together. And here they were. Madison was 24 years old. Quiet. Observant. The kind of person who watched before she spoke. She had a business mind. She had been reading books about entrepreneurship since she was 17. She did not want fame. She wanted freedom. The freedom of building something that belonged to her. Valentina was 23. A fire. Loud laughter. Magnetic energy. The kind of girl who walked into a room and rearranged it just by being there. She had always wanted to perform, to sing, to act, to be seen. She had a gift for presence that no school could teach. They rented a tiny one-bedroom apartment in East Hollywood with thin walls, a broken heater, and the kind of hope that makes everything feel temporary and beautiful at the same time. Every night after their long days, they would sit on the fire escape with cheap takeout food and talk about their futures like they were already real. "I am going to have a clothing line," Madison said one night. "I am going to be on a billboard," Valentina replied, laughing, but not joking. Their dreams already looked different. And that difference mattered more than either of them knew. Reality arrived without warning. Los Angeles was not a city that waited for you to get ready. It moved fast, it cost more than they had planned for, and it did not care that you had traveled thousands of miles to be there. Madison found work at a cafe in Silver Lake. 6 days a week, early mornings, sore feet, polite smiles for customers who never asked her name. At night she came home, ate whatever she had, opened her laptop, and studied. Marketing, digital business, branding. She told herself the cafe was just the first chapter. She was writing a longer story. Valentina threw herself into the entertainment world with everything she had. She submitted to casting calls. She attended open auditions. She networked at events she could barely afford to attend. She created content. She sang covers and posted them online. The rejection was constant. "Not the look we are going for. You are talented, but the role has been filled. We will be in touch." They never were. Weeks became months. The apartment felt smaller. The heater was still broken. Their savings were shrinking. And Valentina started noticing something that she could not unnotice once she had seen it. The women getting the attention, the callbacks, the followers, the brand deals, they all seemed to look a certain way. Surgically perfected curves, faces that photographed like architecture, bodies that looked engineered to stop a scroll. She started studying them the way she used to study scripts, looking for the formula, looking for what she was missing. What if talent does not matter here? Valentina asked one night quietly. She was looking at her phone, scrolling through an influencer's profile. The woman had 3 million followers and had just announced a perfume deal. Madison looked up from her laptop. "It matters. Just not instantly. But how long do I wait, Madison? How long before something happens?" Madison did not have an answer for that. And the silence between them said more than words could. 3 weeks later, Valentina came home different. There was an energy about her, the kind that comes when someone has made a decision in their mind and is only now telling their mouth about it. She dropped her bag at the door and sat across from Madison with her phone already unlocked. "You need to look at this." She showed Madison a series of Instagram profiles. Women who had gone from a few thousand followers to hundreds of thousands, seemingly overnight. All of them had something in common. All of them had changed their bodies. Enhanced curves. Reshaped silhouettes. The kind of transformation that does not happen at the gym. They are making thousands of dollars per post. Brand deals. Free trips. "Look at this one, she just got a clothing line deal at 22 years old." Madison looked carefully at the screen, then back at Valentina. "You cannot compare yourself to strangers online. You do not know their full story." "I am not comparing. I am learning. There is a difference." Madison wanted to argue. But Valentina had that look, the rooftop look. The same look she had the night they made their promise. Then Valentina said it. "I am thinking about getting a BBL." The room went very quiet. Madison did not sleep well that night. She lay in the dark listening to the city outside, the distant traffic, the murmur of neighbors through thin walls, and she felt afraid in a way she could not name. Not because she did not understand Valentina's logic. She did understand it. That was the frightening part. In the days that followed, Valentina moved with a kind of focused determination Madison had never seen before. She was researching surgeons, reading testimonials, looking into financing options. She had built a spreadsheet, and Valentina had never built a spreadsheet in her life. "This is a medical procedure," Madison said carefully one afternoon. "It is serious surgery, Valentina. People have died. People die in car accidents too. That does not mean you stop driving. That is not the same thing. I know the risks. I have read everything. I am going to the best surgeon in Beverly Hills. Dr. Ramirez. He has done thousands of these. Look at his reviews, 5 stars across the board. The people who have problems. They went to cheap doctors in back alley clinics. I am doing this right." Madison bit her lip. She wanted to say, "You are being desperate, not smart." But she did not say it. Because she knew the loneliness behind the decision. She had felt it too, just differently. One Saturday, they drove to a viewpoint above the city. They sat on the hood of their borrowed car and looked at the Hollywood sign in the distance, white against the green hills. Valentina stared at it for a long time. "I know I am good enough," she said softly. "I just need the world to stop and look long enough to see it. I need the door to open. This is how I open it." Madison put her arm around her best friend's shoulder. She did not agree, but she loved her, and sometimes love means sitting beside someone in a decision you are afraid of. The surgery was scheduled for 3 weeks later. Valentina paid the deposit. Madison said nothing. The surgery went smoothly. Dr. Ramirez was professional, experienced, careful. The recovery was painful, and Madison was there for every difficult day of it, ice packs. Medication schedules, helping Valentina move when moving hurt. And then, the results. When Valentina first posted new photos, the response was immediate and overwhelming. Her follower count exploded. 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. The numbers climbed every hour like a rocket leaving the ground. Comments flooded in. Body goals. "You look incredible. Drop the surgeon's info, sis. This is what I'm talking about." Reposts. Tags. Shares. Her DMs filled with messages from brands, small ones at first, then bigger ones. A waist trainer company offered her $500 for a single post. A hair extensions brand sent her free products and asked her to tag them. A swimwear line wanted her for their summer campaign. For the first time since arriving in Los Angeles, Valentina felt seen. Really seen. She moved differently. She smiled more easily. She woke up excited to check her phone. The validation was intoxicating, like a drug she had been searching for her entire life without knowing its name. "This is it, Madison," she said one morning over coffee, laughing in a way that lit up the whole apartment. "My life is finally starting." Madison smiled. She was happy for Valentina. She was genuinely happy. But somewhere underneath the happiness there was a small, quiet fear sitting like a stone, and she could not shake it. The next 6 months were a blur of success. Valentina's Instagram grew to 150,000 followers. Brand deals came in steadily now, sometimes 3 or 4 per week. Fashion Nova, Pretty Little Thing, Flat Tummy Company, Shine. The money was real. Not life-changing, but real. She was making $3,000 some months, $5,000 in a good month. She moved out of the tiny apartment into a studio in West Hollywood with better lighting for content. She bought a ring light, a good camera, a tripod. She invested in her brand the way Madison had always talked about investing in a business. She attended influencer events, pool parties in the Hollywood Hills, brand launch parties in Santa Monica, networking brunches where everyone looked camera ready and spoke in hashtags. She started hanging out with other girls in the scene, Jasmine, who had 300,000 followers and a nose job. Brianna, who had 200,000 followers and a BBL from the same surgeon. Kayla, who had 500,000 followers and looked like she had been built in a lab specifically for Instagram. They took photos together. They collaborated. They lifted each other up in the comments. They traded tips about the algorithm, about brands, about photographers, about which clubs let influencers in for free. Valentina felt like she had finally found her people. Her tribe. Women who understood the hustle. Women who were not afraid to invest in themselves. You have to spend money to make money, Jasmine said at brunch one Sunday. She was wearing a designer bag that cost more than Madison made in a month at the cafe. Exactly, Valentina agreed. This is a business. You have to look the part. She started buying clothes she could not quite afford, but she justified it because they were for content. Content was her job now. This was investment, not spending. She got her hair done every 2 weeks. Nails every week. Lashes. Facials. She started getting lip filler, just a little. Just to enhance what was already there. Then a little more. She started talking about a nose job. Maybe next year. Maybe when she hit 200,000 followers. Madison watched all of this from the outside. She was still working at the cafe. Still grinding. Still taking online courses. She had started doing freelance social media management for a small clothing brand, $300 a month. It was something, but it was not much. She would see Valentina's Instagram posts. The trips. The restaurants. The outfits. The life. And she would feel something she did not want to name. Not jealousy exactly, but doubt. Madison's business was not taking off the way she had imagined. She had launched her digital marketing agency 8 months ago with so much hope. She had a website, business cards, a LinkedIn profile that she updated religiously. But clients were not coming. She had sent 100 cold emails. She had posted on every freelance platform. She had reached out to small businesses in her network. 3 clients. That is all she had managed to get. And 2 of them paid so little that after expenses she barely broke even. She was still working at the cafe just to pay rent. She would come home exhausted, open her laptop, and see Valentina's Instagram stories, another brand deal, another event, another beautiful sunset from another rooftop party. And Madison started to wonder, what if she had been wrong? What if the right way, the slow way, the patient way, the build something real way, was just code for the way that does not work? What if Valentina had figured something out that Madison was too stubborn to see? She started noticing other things too. Jasmine, the girl with the nose job, had just signed with a talent agency. Brianna had launched her own shapewear line and was making 6 figures. Kayla had moved into a 2-bedroom apartment in a luxury building with a rooftop pool. And what did Madison have? A cafe job, 3 freelance clients, an empty savings account, and the growing, sinking feeling that she had been lying to herself about hard work being enough. One night Valentina invited Madison to an influencer event. Madison almost said no, but Valentina insisted. Come on, you need to have fun. You have been working too hard. The party was at a mansion in the Hollywood Hills. Everyone there looked perfect. Professionally perfect. Surgically perfect. The women had identical curves and identical smiles and identical confidence. Madison stood in the corner with a drink she was not drinking and watched Valentina work the room. Laughing, networking, taking photos, living, and Madison felt invisible, not because people were rude. They were not. They just did not see her. She did not have the look. She did not have the followers. She did not have the thing that made people stop and pay attention. She went home early. And when she got back to her small apartment, she sat on her bed and opened Instagram. She typed into the search bar, BBL Surgeons Los Angeles. She told herself she was just looking. Just curious. Just wanting to understand what Valentina had done. But the truth was darker than that. The truth was she was starting to wonder if Valentina had been right all along. Valentina's friend group had become her world. There were 5 of them now who hung out regularly: Valentina, Jasmine, Brianna, Kayla, and a new girl named Sasha who had just moved to LA from Miami. All of them had work done. BBLs, breast augmentations, lip filler, rhinoplasty. They talked about it openly, the way other women talk about haircuts or workouts. I am thinking about doing a revision, Jasmine said one afternoon. They were at a rooftop brunch in downtown LA. Dr. Kim said he could give me a little more projection. Girl, you look amazing already, Kayla said. But I get it. You have to keep up. The algorithm rewards new content. They all nodded. It made perfect sense to them. One day Madison asked Valentina about the risks. About the stories she had seen online, women who had complications, women who had died. Valentina waved her hand dismissively. Those are people who went to cheap doctors. Back alley surgeons in Tijuana or Miami. Doctors who were not even board certified. That is not me. I did my research. I went to the best. But even the best doctors. Madison, I am fine. Look at me. I am healthier than I have ever been. I work out. I eat clean. I take care of myself. The people who have problems. They do not follow post-op instructions. They go back to work too soon. They do not take it seriously. I did everything right. Madison wanted to argue, but she did not have proof. Valentina looked good. Brianna looked good. Kayla looked good. All of them seemed fine. Maybe Madison was just being paranoid. Maybe she was projecting her own fears because her life was not working out the way she had planned. Valentina started talking about another procedure. Not a revision. Something new. I am thinking about a breast augmentation, she said one night. Just to balance everything out. Dr. Ramirez said I would be a perfect candidate. Madison felt her stomach drop. Valentina, you just did a major surgery a year ago. I know, but this is different. This is smaller, less invasive. And honestly, Madison, Valentina's voice got quieter, this is my career now. I have to keep investing in it. You invest in your business, right? This is my business. Madison did not know what to say. Because Valentina was right. This was her business. And it was working. 3 months later, Madison hit rock bottom. She lost 2 of her 3 freelance clients in the same week. One went out of business. The other said they were cutting costs. She was back to barely making rent. Back to living paycheck to paycheck. Back to eating instant noodles and avoiding phone calls from her mother who kept asking when she was going to have something real to show for all her hard work. She was 25 years old and felt like a failure. Meanwhile, Valentina had just signed a $15,000 deal with a skincare brand. She posted about it. The comments were full of congratulations. Full of admiration. Full of people asking how she did it. And Madison knew the answer. She did it because she looked the part. One night, Madison could not sleep. She got up at 2 a.m., made tea she did not drink, and sat at her laptop. She opened the website for Dr. Ramirez. She scrolled through the before and after photos. She read the testimonials. She looked at the financing options. $8,000, payable in monthly installments. She could afford the monthly payments. Barely, but she could. She imagined it. What it would feel like to walk into a room and have people notice. To post a photo and watch the likes climb. To finally, have something working in her favor. She opened a new tab and started filling out the consultation form. Name, Madison. Age, 25. Phone number. She stopped. Her hands were shaking. She sat there for a long time, staring at the half-filled form, and she felt something break inside her. Not her resolve, her identity, because she had always been the one who did things the right way. The one who believed in hard work. The one who did not take shortcuts. And now she was sitting at 2 a.m., seriously considering surgery she could not afford, for a life she did not even want, just because she was tired of feeling invisible. She closed the laptop. She did not fill out the form. But the fact that she had come that close terrified her. The next morning, she called Valentina. "Can we talk?" They met for coffee. Madison did not know what she was going to say until the words came out. "I almost did it," she said quietly. "I almost scheduled a consultation for a BBL." Valentina looked at her, not with judgment, with understanding. And I realized I do not want to be someone I am not just to be seen." Valentina sipped her coffee. She looked tired. Madison had not noticed before, but she looked tired in a way that makeup could not hide. "I get it," Valentina said finally. "But Madison, sometimes you have to do what you have to do to survive in this city. You can be yourself later. Right now, you have to be what they want." Madison looked at her best friend and felt a distance between them that had nothing to do with physical space. 2 months later, the cracks started to show. Valentina's brand deals were not coming in as consistently anymore. The algorithm had changed again. Her engagement was down. She was posting more but getting less. The followers were still there, 180,000 now, but they were not interacting the way they used to. Brands started ghosting her, or lowballing her, offering $200 for posts that used to pay $1,000. She started financing more things. A better camera, a videographer for professional content. New outfits every week because followers noticed when she repeated outfits. The debt was piling up quietly. $5,000 on one credit card, $3,000 on another. A payment plan for the breast augmentation she had gotten 3 months ago. And then came something she had not planned for at all. Pain. A deep, persistent discomfort that had started a few weeks ago and never fully left. She told herself it was normal. Post-surgical. Temporary. Her body adjusting. She pushed through it because stopping felt like losing everything she had built. But the pain did not go away. One night, Madison sent Valentina $300. "I know things are tight. I got a bonus from the cafe. Take it." Valentina hesitated but accepted it. She needed it. She told herself it was temporary. She would pay Madison back when the next big brand deal came through. But Madison started wondering, where was that money really going? Was Valentina using it for rent? Or was she using it to finance another procedure? Madison did not ask. She was afraid of the answer. One night Madison woke at 2 a.m. to a sound she could not identify. A text notification. It was from Valentina. "Can you come over? Something is wrong." Madison's heart stopped. She threw on clothes and drove to Valentina's apartment. The door was unlocked. Valentina was sitting on the bathroom floor, back against the bathtub, crying, the quiet kind, the kind that tries not to make a sound. "I do not feel right," she whispered when she saw Madison. "Something does not feel right inside me." Doctor visits began. The first doctor said inflammation. Probably just her body reacting to the implants from the breast augmentation. Nothing serious. Give it time. The second doctor looked concerned. He ordered more tests. Blood work. Imaging. He used words like infection and complications, not uncommon, he said, but they needed to monitor it. The third doctor looked at the scans with a face that said more than his words. "I need you to see a specialist." Medical expenses started mounting. Valentina's insurance did not cover complications from elective surgery. Each appointment was $200. Each test was $500. Each scan was $1,000. She stopped posting as much. Her engagement dropped further. The brands went quiet. The comments that had once celebrated her began to thin out, because the internet moves on. It always moves on. It does not wait while you are sick. Jasmine still texted. Brianna checked in. But they were busy with their own lives, their own content, their own brand deals. Valentina felt more alone than she had ever felt. She felt caught between two realities, the image she had built online that required her to be vibrant and present and flawless, and the physical reality of a body that was struggling and in pain and breaking down. "I cannot keep up," she told Madison one evening. She sounded exhausted in a way that had nothing to do with sleep. "I thought this would fix everything," she said. "I thought if I just looked the part, everything else would fall into place. I thought." She did not finish the sentence. Madison took her hand. "You do not need fixing. You never did." Valentina looked at her with eyes that were both grateful and heartbroken. "Then why does it not feel that way?" Madison did not have an answer. Because she had almost made the same mistake. Because she understood the pressure. Because in this city, in this world, sometimes it felt like you had to choose between being yourself and being seen. And that choice should not exist. But it did. The complications became serious. It happened gradually and then all at once, the way real emergencies do. What had been manageable discomfort became something that could not be ignored. There were procedures. There was a hospitalization. There were nights when the machines beeped and Madison sat in a waiting room chair and prayed with everything she had. She was not prepared for how still a hospital could feel. One evening, in a quiet room with pale light and the sound of distant monitors, Valentina looked at Madison. Not at her phone, not at the ceiling. At Madison, really looked, the way you look at someone when you are finally done performing for the world. "I just wanted to matter," she said. Her voice was small but her eyes were clear. "You always did," Madison said. She was holding Valentina's hand. She was fighting not to fall apart. "I wasted so much time trying to be what they wanted." "No," Madison shook her head slowly. "You were chasing something real. You just got lost on the way. We all get lost." Valentina closed her eyes for a moment. "Promise me something. Anything. Tell people the truth. Not to scare them. Just tell them. So they do not feel this same pressure and do what I did. Tell them what almost happened to you too. Promise me my story means something." Madison nodded, tears running quietly down her face. I promise you it means everything." The machines kept beeping. And for the first time, Madison realized how fragile everything really was. Years passed. Madison built her business slowly, honestly, the way she had always planned. She still lived in Los Angeles, still loved it, but differently now, with intention, feet firmly on the ground. And she never forgot where she had come from. Two young women, immigrants from Mexico, stepping into a city that didn't wait, that didn't care, that demanded everything, and still, they had dared to dream. A digital marketing agency that started as a freelance side project and grew into something real. Something that was hers. She speaks about Valentina openly. At events. Online. To strangers who recognize something of themselves in the story. She does not tell it to make people afraid. She tells it because Valentina asked her to. Because a promise made in a hospital room is the kind you keep for the rest of your life. And she tells her own part of the story too. About the night she almost filled out that consultation form. About how close she came to making the same decision. Because Valentina was not foolish. She was not vain. She was a 23-year-old woman in a city that profits from insecurity, surrounded by a world that rewards the image over the person, and she made a human decision in an impossible environment. And Madison almost made the same decision. The tragedy is not that they wanted to be seen. The tragedy is that they were always worth seeing. They just never quite believed it. In a culture obsessed with appearance, it is easy to believe that success is just one transformation away. That if you just change this one thing, your body, your face, your image, everything else would finally click into place. But Valentina's story is a reminder that the pressure you feel is not a reflection of your value. It is a reflection of a system that was never designed to make you feel enough. Madison's story is a reminder that even the strongest people have moments of doubt. Even the people who seem sure of themselves almost break. Real success, real, lasting, peaceful success, is not built on shortcuts. It is built on patience. On purpose. On the quiet, daily decision to trust who you are before the world validates it. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is refuse to be reshaped by a world that never deserved to define you. The world will always try to sell you a new version of yourself. But peace begins the moment you stop buying. You were always enough. You were always worth seeing. This story is proof of that. Success isn't always about how far you climb. Sometimes it's about finding peace exactly where you are. The world will always try to convince you that you need more attention, more validation, more perfection. But the truth is, you were never meant to become someone else to be worthy. Because in the end, the most powerful thing you can be is real. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who might be feeling pressure to become someone they're not. Because behind every perfect photo, there's a real person fighting battles we can't see. And if you believe people should feel enough just as they are, subscribe for more stories that remind us what truly matters.